Dawg Blog Live presents Real Fans of Genius.
Real Fans of Genius!
Today we salute you, Mr. Die-Hard Hardcore Browns fan guy.
I'm Mr. Die-Hard Hardcore Browns fan guy!
70,000 strong, you flocked to Cleveland Browns Stadium to watch a team that's 40-88 since 1999.
40-88?
Every week you sit in the freezing cold dog pound, waving your giant styrofoam dog bone and wearing your Courtney Brown jersey with pride.
He had 2 good games!
You've got your priorities straight. You know that it's not who wins or loses, it's how drunk you can get before they stop selling beer.
Wasn't I wearing pants earlier?
Your blind devotion caused you to miss your daughter's graduation and your son's first steps.
It'll take plenty more steps!
Sure, that PSL forced you to take out a second mortgage, but you can always say you were there the day that Tim Couch got sacked 7 times.
That last one looked painful, ouch!
So here's to you, Browns fans. Raise an ice cold beverage of choice, and then throw it at the ref who blew that call.
I'm Mr. Die-Hard Hardcore Browns fan guy!
Hey there, Browns fans. Welcome to Dawg Blog Live, the show. It's all about you. Well, the 2007 Browns are starting to come into focus after their win in Denver in the dress rehearsal for the regular season. Charlie Frye made an even stronger case for himself in his battle with Derek Anderson, leading the Browns to a touchdown in their opening drive. Now, Brady Quinn played well once again, but before the game, Phil Savage said it would be unrealistic for Quinn to start Game 1 as a rookie. The Plain Dealer's Tony Grossi shared his thoughts on the subject in a recent podcast.
Quinn is obviously developing faster than a lot of us expected, and I can see him taking over as a starter sooner than I expected.
You can listen to the rest of Tony's thoughts at cleveland.com/HeyTony. So when did the fans think Brady Quinn should step in? Alana Monroe has this week's mailbag.
Thanks a lot, Joey. Alana Monroe here for another week of Dawg Blog Live Mailbag. We ask for your thoughts on Brady's debut performance. Here's some of your best comments. Dover Dog says, so what if Quinn played against 3rd and 4th stringers? The fact is both Frye and Anderson couldn't move this offense into the red zone if they had a roadmap. Nacho says, what makes Brady Quinn stand out from all the others is his leadership. Slomka adds, no matter what happens this year, Brady is our future. Unless the coaching staff screws that up, give Brady time and he'll give us wins. Gotta love that unrivaled optimism fans show every week. Now we'll send it over to Mike and Dan to talk about pending roster cuts and the ever-changing depth chart. Guys?
Thanks a lot, Alana. Well, Dan Lobby, yours truly, Mike Conley, back for another week of talking Browns football with you, the best fans in the NFL. And today we're going to tackle the pending roster cuts and also look a little bit at this depth chart. And first up today, Dan, we're going to talk about the 3rd receiver slot. Josh Cribbs, Tim Carter, who do you like?
Well, I like Josh Cribbs. I think they want Josh Cribbs to win the job because Travis Wilson can't catch the football. The kid's got talent, but he can't catch the football. He's got to do that consistently. And we haven't really seen much of Tim Carter. I can't think of anything Tim Carter has done. I think they want Josh Cribbs to win this position. We saw what he could do if you get him the ball in the open field. I think he's going to be the guy, at least to start the year.
Yeah, Tim Carter, he's been MIA. I know he's been nursing some injuries, but that's been the knock on him all of his career. He's always injured. Travis Wilson really seems to be a waste of a 3rd-round pick at this point in time. He's really trying just to make this roster, let alone fit into the 3rd receiver spot. Next up, 3rd running back position. Jerome Harrison, the ghost out of Washington State last season, was drafted. And then Chris Barkley, the undrafted rookie free agent out of Wake Forest, went to NFL Europe. Wasn't expected to really be in the mix this season. All of a sudden, he's played himself into the mix after a touchdown return in that first preseason game and really has just stood out with his speed and open field running ability.
Well, Chris Barkley's looked good, but we've seen it before. It's the Ben Gay factor, a guy that had a great preseason, looked like Jim Brown. You know, if you make 1 or 2 good plays in the preseason, fans tend to jump on the bandwagon. I'm a little more cynical about Barkley. I wouldn't mind seeing him on the roster, but I think Jerome Harrison's probably the guy there. He's a little more versatile. He can catch the football out of the backfield. We did see him make a nice special teams play in the 3rd game. You know, I'm kind of leaning towards Harrison on this. I'm curious about Barkley, but I'm a little cynical.
All right, linebackers, and talking about depth at this position, two guys really on the bubble right now, Sean Thompson, David McMillan. McMillan, of course, out of Kansas, was a speed rusher the Browns were looking for to develop off the end. And then Sean Thompson, he's had his opportunity to start. He's been in on special teams. He's been with the second team. He's really been all over in regards to this Browns squad. Who's going to make it out of these two guys, and who's the most valuable to the team right now?
Well, I think Thompson has the most upside. I mean, eventually that upside needs to turn into the real thing. Now, Peter King of SI called him a sleeper this season, so we'll see if that plays out. You know, I like Sean Thompson winning that job. I think, once again, here's a guy that I think the Browns want to win the job because he's got some experience, he's got some speed and athleticism. I think he has a lot to offer, and it's nice to have some depth there with McMillan, but I still think Thompson is going to be the guy.
David McMillan, I call him the preseason All-American because he shows up in the preseason and then disappears as soon as the regular season kicks off. Next up, Gary Baxter. We all know the story. Tears both patellar tendons in his knees last year. Fights through a lot of adversity. Gets back onto the practice field here during training camp, but it's apparent that he's not ready to go all out quite yet. He could be a possible roster casualty because the Browns now do finally have some depth at the corner position.
Well, they do, and I mean, I'd love to see Gary Baxter back, but even if he does come back, what are the odds he's going to be the player they signed 2 years ago? You've got Lee Bodden. This is a guy that, when he's healthy, can be a stud at corner. You've got Eric Wright, who's got a ton of potential. Kenny Wright has looked decent in the preseason, a nice free agent addition. They've got some depth at corner. Baxter would help increase that depth because we saw last year you need it, but anything Baxter brings as a bonus, I wouldn't count on him.
All right, now it's time for you, the fans, to have your say. You can leave your comments below on who you think should make the final roster for this Browns squad. And at this point, we're going to send it back in the studio for the rest of Dawg Blog Live. Over to you, Joey.
It's time to take a look at some of the photos you've sent in. JT Frazier sent in this photo of Brady Quinn firing a pass. And Dog Pound Girl snapped this shot of two Brady Quinn fans. Now, JT also took this one of Darnell Dinkins and Jerome Harrison sharing a moment after practice. Nick Owens sent in a YouTube video of the Browns pummeling the Steelers on his Xbox 360. Be sure to send in your photos and your YouTube videos showing off your Browns spirit by using the links below. Up next, the Predictors tackle the Browns-Bears game.
Predictors.
Chicago is Brady Quinn's kind of town. Browns 20, Bears 6.
Bears 30, Browns 10. And that's just gross, man.
The question here is who's driving the bus to Soldier Field? Is it Ditka? If that's the case, I take the Bears 28, the Browns -12. Predictors.
That does it for this week. Join us next time for the regular season debut of Dawg Blog Live. We'll see you then.